Lisa, your thesis is such a powerful document, and at the heart of it are the challenge problems that your students did in mathematics. Could you speak a little bit more to a challenge problem?
Sure.
Thank you.
Basically, as I mentioned, I was working with 4th grade kids, and I was using these open-ended math problems from a website called figurethis.org, and it is supported by the National Council of Teachers, and they were really middle school problems that we were working with, and I was focusing on heterogeneous and homogeneous grouping, and I put the kids in different situations to see which type of grouping had the greatest strengths. I remember giving the kids one problem that we called the beating heart problem. And it said something like, if you started counting your heartbeats on January 1st of the year 2000, when would you experience your millionth heartbeat? And of course then there was what I called the Einstein question, when would you experience your billionth heartbeat? Now, these questions, keep in mind that in 4th grade, the kids are learning place value up to probably the 100 millionth place. In fact, right now, I think with Common Core, not even the 100 millionth place. We're going a little bit less. So they were not still even aware of all of the place value at this point. But when I introduced this problem, I had the kids working in heterogeneous groups. And we had to do a lot of instruction on cooperative learning because kids really needed to know how to work together well in order to get along in their group. And kids started talking about, well, somebody raised her hand and said, I know that the average heart beats about 60 times per minute. So I said to the kids, did you hear that little hint that so-and-so just gave you? The average heart beats about 60 times a minute. Well, I said, why don't you use that as the point to begin? So kids started taking different approaches and saying, well, if the average heart beats about 60 times per minute, we could figure out how many times it beats in an hour. We could figure out how many times it beats in a day, in 2 days, in 3 days. Or some kids said, let's take 1,000,000 heartbeats and let's divide it up by 60 times in a minute, which of course they had to calculate the hours and the days, etc. These are open-ended problems, and the kids found different ways of answering the question. There were different answers to the questions, but based on the support that they provided for their answer, all of their answers were correct. So there was a lot of dialogue going back and forth. One child might have thought that this was the way to go. Another child would say, no, that doesn't make sense because of this. So that dialogue and that discussion that was generated helped all of the children understand how their heterogeneous group came up with this answer.